Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. It is 7:08, Monday, April 18th, 41 degrees, getting up to 71 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 News Talk Radio, streaming live on the Radio Pup and WOBMAM.com apps. 732-505-1160 if you want to join the conversation. Our conversation now turns to Tina's house, which I'm sure just about none of you have any idea what Tina's house is. And we're going to talk about that with probably the three subject matter experts in town. So we have with us, and this is where I get very stressed because we just had my rabbi, so there's all kinds of stuff going on there. And now we have the Ocean County prosecutor, Joe Coronado. Welcome. We have the Honorable Barbara Villano. And then, worst of all, we have Tara Cunningham, who is the Director of Strategy for the Jay and Linda Grunin Foundation. So I will now sit in judgment, no doubt, for the next 36 minutes at least. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. And so we want to talk first kind of an overview of what Tina's house is all about. So I don't know if, Prosecutor, you want to kind of go through what Tina's house does and what that's all about.
Well, good morning, Jeremy. First off, congratulations on Jay and Linda Grunin Award that took place on Saturday night. It was a great event by Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and I just really thought that how apropos was it for that foundation to get that award. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
First off, the Tina's House is a tremendous facility that part of the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. It's our Special Victims Unit. It's a unique house on Hadley Avenue. It's really SV handles all the sexual assault and child abuse cases in Ocean County. It's our Child Advocacy Center. Essentially, how we can put it is that if there's a sexual abuse or a sexual assault that takes place in Ocean County, the prosecutor's office handles it. We do it in cooperation with the local police departments, but essentially we are the lead agency. So, we operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. If, God forbid, there is a sexual assault that takes place in Ocean County, we're going to get the call. Again, we work with the local PD, but therefore the local PD may not be necessarily up to speed with regard to sexual assaults, and my unit is specially trained with regard to that.
So what kind of, I think the first thing we want to do is really kind of wake people up a little bit because it says wake up with Jeremy Grunin. So what kind of numbers are we talking about? I mean, it can't be that many, right? I mean, it's Ocean County, New Jersey, for goodness sakes.
Well, I kind of disagree with you. First off, we have 200 child victims per year. Over 1,000 families really, unfortunately, go through or impacted annually with regard to sexual assaults. If you look at the numbers, just in the last 3 years, there's what I would term to be an explosion in this area. So just the opposite. If you really kind of drill down on it, you'll see that this is an area that unfortunately affects more people and unfortunately it affects children, which is the unconscionable thing.
Right. And so that's amazing, the numbers that we're talking about. So Tina's house, where did we get that? How did you come up with that name? I mean, what is that symbolic of or represent?
Maybe I'll turn it over to Tara. Obviously, it's something close to her. But we, before I became prosecutor, there was one of our detectives, Tina Rambo, and unfortunately, she was just killed. Killed on the job. And as a result, she was a detective in that unit, and that house. Essentially, Tina's drive, and of course the prosecutor's office drive, is not to make a victim a second time. And essentially, we built a house. It's not an office; it's a house to bring the victims in, to families to come in, so that again, it's a kinder, gentler area in which they can have to go through some very difficult times.
Thank you, prosecutor. it was the hugest honor that could have ever been bestowed on our family. When Tina died, we were devastated, and the prosecutor's office became a second family to us. They're our blue family, like we like to call them. Tina loved and hated her job working with these victims. She called me once when I lived in Ireland in tears because there was a 3-year-old with chlamydia, and the mother said, "I don't know how she got that," and that baby had to go home to that mother. And that child's probably about 13 now. And I hope that she's having a little bit of a better life. Right. But today, if she went to Tina's house, there is a beautiful warm room that the kids get to hang out in. There's video games, a bookcase that was made by the Girl Scouts. There's a mural painted by one of the secretaries. It's flowers by Narcissus Flowers. The communities really come together where we have Ashley Furniture. If there is any child who needs a bed or a mattress, one phone call from Chief Peck, who, by the way, was one of Tina's favorite men on this earth and came back from retirement to run Tina's house, and she would have been so honored by that. All Chief Peck has to do is make a call to Ashley Furniture, and those children will have a bed. It is the most beautiful culture. You walk in and it feels warm, and I just think it is such a testimony to the work of the prosecutor's office and his team and their amazing board to make a place that's really, really beautiful for these kids.
So amazing board. So Judge Villano. So
that's right.
We I guess I'm not exactly sure I understand. What does the public do? What does the public have to do with this, or how do they help? What's the story? I don't really understand.
First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for having me. And the other night was a lovely tribute to the foundation from Big Brothers Big Sisters. The concept of the board came when Judge Ford was the prosecutor, and what we were looking for the Child Advocacy Center was national accreditation. And one of the requirements for national accreditation from the Children's Alliance, National Children's Alliance, is that the board be established to be there as an assist for the needs of the children and the needs of the Advocacy Center that cannot be met with public funds. We're talking about providing that safe, secure environment, having nice furniture, having rugs, having an Xbox for the kids, things that public funds wouldn't necessarily be available for. So in order to have the accreditation, you had to have a fundraising assist. So Judge Ford asked me if I would chair the board to get that together and rolling. And when Prosecutor Coronado came on, he was kind enough to reach out for Chief Peck as a hire to help us establish the paperwork, the procedures that were in place but had to be documented so that we could apply for and receive the national accreditation, which we did right off the bat. First time out, we had absolutely no secondary requirements. Everything was in order. So what we provide is an assist. The whole concept, as Tara was saying, is cooperation and community involvement, and we're there as part of the community to assist.
Okay, so I think when we come back, what I'd like to talk about is I think there's if I was sitting on the other side, right, listening to my radio, saying, "Wait a second, are they saying that they need additional support here?" Because I know I pay a lot in taxes, so I don't really get it. So what I'd like to do when we get back is kind of talk through what that all looks like, what a taxpayer pays for, and what the difference is with a program like Tina's House, and how folks can get involved and help, and why they need to. So Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, full house in this morning, so I'm not even going to name them all. We're just going to take a break and come back after this.
Get more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin at our website, WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We're talking about Tina's House. So, prosecutor, we were talking about what taxpayer dollars do pay for versus what taxpayer dollars don't pay for. So, why don't we talk first about what is kind of covered under the umbrella of what the program looks like from a taxpayer standpoint?
Well, first off, we have a multidisciplinary team which includes law enforcement, prosecutor, Division of Child Protection and Permanency, mental health professionals, victim witness coordinator, and a forensic nurse who coordinates our forensic nurse team. Basically, what happens is that, again, we not only do the investigation, but we also prosecute the defendants and that are charged with these heinous crimes. The bottom line is that it's all the law enforcement funding that comes from both the county and from the state. Everything from guns, bullets, cars, the functionality, the computers, the technical stuff. Obviously, we have a state grant. We have 20 nurses, forensic nurses. Those nurses are operable 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We do the we do the testing. So the bottom line is it's a team effort, and your government tax dollar goes towards all that funding for the operation.
Okay. So on the flip side, Judge Villano, what does it not pay for?
One of the major things that the Friends of the Child Advocacy Center provide are funding for training. You heard Prosecutor Coronado talk about the number of people involved. Very often we have municipal budgets that can't afford to send their police officers for the specialized training. No one can interview a child unless they've had specialized training in child first interview techniques. So one of the major focuses of our fundraising is for training funds. We had a 3-day seminar that we provided to over 250 people last year at Ocean County College. Was good enough to allow us to use their resources, and that was on Shaken Baby. This year we're going to do interviewing techniques, psychological considerations for interrogation and cold case efforts and things of that nature. Again, it'll be 3 days, and it's offered to all of the members of the multidisciplinary teams from all throughout the county. We have training courses throughout the year that we provide additional funding for. Sometimes the prosecutor's office will provide the piece for the room and board, and we'll provide the registration fee, because it's difficult to send as many people involved continually to the programs they need to attend. So an Investors Bank has been very generous to us in giving us a substantial grant both last year and this year for many of these training programs. We bring in experts from throughout the country, and that's not always inexpensive.
Right.
Essentially, I'll send either one or two of my detectives or a prosecutor out to a national conference, and what we will do is we'll kind of vet to bring in this expert, and we want to bring a national expert into Ocean County. And then we bring that expert in, and that expert not only teaches the remaining of our staff, but also all the local police departments that work with us together, so that they can get the state-of-the-art information and also techniques, so that we can bring these people to justice.
Right.
But we're also bringing in the Child Protective Service agencies, people who can't always get state funding for various programs. So the money that we provide goes beyond the prosecutor's office employees to the members of the community that are involved.
Right.
The other thing that
and let's not forget. Sorry, we'll hold that thought for a second. So we're dealing very much with kids, right? So there's a lot of I want to say like soft products that need to be there to kind of make sure that a kid feels comfortable in having that discussion, right? So we talk about stuffed animals, we talk about video games, we talked about everything that we need to make a child feel comfortable enough to talk about the horrible things that unfortunately they've had to deal with. So we're going to talk more about that when we get back. We're also going to give you all your magic wand to use to make a difference in our community. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, talking about Tina's House in Ocean County at the prosecutor's office. Be right back after this.
Coming up next, the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River. It's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:34, Monday, April 18th, 41 degrees. Getting up at 71 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation.
You did it in one breath. Congratulations.
Yay,
well done.
I skipped some things.
That's very scary.
So we were talking about Tina's house, the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. So in the break, we were talking a little bit how it impacts the whole family. So can you talk to us a little bit more about what that means and how that what that means for Tina's house?
What it means for Tina's house is that when a child victim does have to make that trip into Tina's house, the entire family comes. Parents or caretakers bring in other siblings, and the concept is to make sure the entire family is comfortable in that safe, home-like setting. The other need that the multidisciplinary team addresses is trying to make sure that family can be whole, and the counseling is set up. Part of the multidisciplinary team is to do follow-up with the family to make sure that other siblings' needs are addressed, the child who's victimized, their needs are addressed, and the needs of the parents. As we all know, at least in this room, most crimes of this type are committed by someone who is familiar to the family, and in many cases it's actually a caretaker. So it's a very, very difficult family dynamic that has to be taken care of. We have an alliance with St. Francis for some of the aftercare counseling, and if there is a need for additional follow-up, that psychological counseling, those funds can be provided by and through Tina's through the Friends, if it can't be continued through the funding that we have with St. Francis. So the idea is not to have the family have to put out any money after they've been victimized already. The other issue that we would want to address is the need to keep staff involved and trained. And what other thing would you think, prosecutor?
Well, the one thing, again, Tina's House is a child advocacy center, but again, what's unique about ours in Ocean County is that we not only deal with children, we also deal with adults, both male and female. So it's important to understand that there are needs. God forbid, when a woman is assaulted or a male is assaulted, we have to take their clothes. You want to be able to let them walk out of the center with wearing something and also feeling civil again. Bottom line is that the house, the whole atmosphere of the house is made so that a person who comes in is not into a police station who has to sit at a desk and has to talk to a detective in a cold setting. Rather, it's put into an easy setting so victims are not made a victim a second time. The donations that are come in are outside government funding that make a difference for these people. They give them somewhat of a soft landing, as I would mark it. And to me, it's so very important not to make these victims become a victim a second, a third, a fourth time, whether it's going through the process, going through the trial, and going through the eventual prosecution. The bottom line is that it's a very special place. We're blessed in Ocean County to have this type of facility, and we're also blessed that the fact is that the community has stepped up to the plate, so to speak, to provide some extra funding to make a difference.
Great. Wow, now I'm really intimidated because I'm talking to the Ocean County prosecutor, right? I got Judge Villano here, and Chief Little comes in. So, can you guys just want to tell me, am I going to be able to go to work after this today, or
we don't want to tell you your car's being towed,
Do you want to? I mean, who's got the show
right
tomorrow?
To remain silent.
I thought that Phil said he needed to get to bed early tonight because he needed to be in early tomorrow to take over the show. All right, so Judge Villano, why don't you tell folks if they want to be able to give money to Tina's House or to make a donation, how could they go about doing that?
Well, they can write a check and they can send it to the Friends of the Child Advocacy Center or just to Tina's House. Make it payable to Tina's House at 7 Hadley Avenue in Toms River. We don't have a website or anything fancy like that, but we have an address, and they can send it to the attention of Chief Peck, and that check will be put to good use for the things that we talked about today and for other things. I don't know if we have time to mention the Wall of Fame, but one of the things we have for the kids, and again, not just the child victim, but the other kids in the family, is many of our young people here from Ocean County have grown into very, very important people and celebrities, and they have bite kind enough to give us pictures that have been autographed and jerseys from hockey players and people like Al Leiter and others. And they have been very responsive to Tina's House, and we try and show the kids that, hey, no matter what happens, you can be somebody, because some of these kids they're really damaged.
Right.
They're really damaged.
People that have, they're in TV shows, movie stars, rock stars, baseball players. They all have come back and they've donated some of the memorabilia to the our Walk of Fame, and which makes a difference. Bottom line, this is a very special place. We do have a website for the prosecutor's office. It's a pretty dynamic website. We also have Facebook. We do Twitter. So if you want to contact us through Facebook, contact us through Twitter. Certainly, we have a mobile app that you can use right on your phone that allows you to get access to our different agencies within the prosecutor's office. So bottom line is, if you find it in your heart that you want to do special for a child or to someone who's been sexually assaulted, please contact this group. It's the only function in the prosecutor's office where we have a fundraiser that's permitted by law, and this fundraiser makes all the difference in the world for the victims of this heinous crime.
I don't think anybody on our board tweets or Instagrams or gets involved in that. So just the address is what we have. Great.
Okay, Prosecutor Coronado, thank you so much. Judge Villano, thank you. Tara.
Welcome.
Listen, I would say that on a personal note, the J. Linda Grunin Foundation, we do have a annual giving to Tina's House. And I'll be honest with you, it completely does not fall anywhere in our charter or in our mission around the arts, education, or really healthcare. But what it does fall under is the fact that it is super important to doing the right thing for the community here in Toms River and Ocean County. And so we believe very strongly in it. And I think if you heard from the people here today, you understand how important it is and what a necessary service they're providing to the folks here in Ocean County. We would like nothing more, and I think I speak for everyone here, than to one day be able to close that place down and never have to run somebody through there again. Unfortunately, it is not the reality of our surroundings, and so we have to open our eyes up, get out and do something, and wake up and make a difference. So thank you guys for doing everything you do every day in that fight.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks very much.
And with that, we will take a break. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin right after this.